What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to the Crypto Catch Up. Of course, your number one place to catch up on crypto. Well, the news that we've been getting has been absolutely insane as this crypto market has started to move, and I want to share it all with you today. So we're going to be doing a full catch up, going over the fundamentals, going over the technicals, and the news, so you can stay as caught up as possible. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's see what's going on in the market. So we can see here that our top 10 is looking pretty mid over the last 24 hours, right? Seeing some flatness from Bitcoin, a little bit negative from Ethereum, a little bit of negative from BNB and Doge, but we're seeing XRP up, you're seeing Cardano up, just a little bit of random sporadicness from the market. Now, when we do look at Bitcoin specifically, though, this thing actually is looking pretty damn decent. Of course, what you guys know is that this thing did see, of course, a pretty damn parabolic move. We did start to go exponential for a moment there. But what Bitcoin's price has been doing recently has actually been extremely bullish, in my opinion, in the sense that it has gone sideways. You know, after a crypto sees a pump, right? After something like Bitcoin sees a pump, you're going to get two things. One of two things. Either this or you're going to get that. And as often as possible, you want this, guys. Trust me, right? Whenever you see these moments in which you see a crypto like Bitcoin go parabolic and it really goes exponentially upwards, you just know that it has to cool down. It has to pull back. It has to let some of those indicators reset. The bulls need to rest and the bears need their moment. We need to see the liquidations. We need to see all this happen. So in moments in which you see, of course, the price of the crypto go up, you have to think, oh shit, okay, when this cool down happens, let's pay attention very closely, because if it does cool down more sideways or gradually downwards, it opens up the door of opportunity to really be able to continue that run much more than we would see in a situation like this, in which it's much harder to surpass that previous high. And then you got all this freaking resistance above you, and it's just not very fun at all. So when I see something like Bitcoin's price going sideways after making a run up towards $92,000, $93,000, it's like, oh, this is very, very good, because even if its price does start to trend downwards now, we're in a much better spot than we would be if we would see it do like the typical Bitcoin move, which may look something like this, in which it literally just goes straight down, and now we got to reclimb through all of these levels. And so where Bitcoin is from a technical perspective, in my opinion, is very, very, very strong. I think we're in a good spot. I think it's spent 4 days sideways so far, and so even if it does want to start pulling back, I think this pullback is going to be limited. I think it's going to find some support, and I think we're going to try to continue higher or maintain these levels for quite a while, both of which are very good in my opinion, because it will allow for altcoin season to push on and push forward, and so, eventually come in general, because I don't think we're in altcoin season quite yet. And so I do think what we're seeing from Bitcoin is some very, very good early signs from more of a technical perspective. Now, going into the fundamentals, we're actually in a very similar spot. If we do look at something like our crypto fear and greed index, for example, let's go back down here, okay? Here we go, the CFG. So what you can see in here, crypto fear and greed index just came back to an 80 right now, which is actually pretty damn good. You know why? Because we were up there, guys. We were up at that 88 for a second in extreme greed, but we have pulled back towards this greed level. I told you all it wouldn't shock me if we see, here, let me actually do that. There you go. If we see Bitcoin stay in the crypto market in general, stay in this greed zone for quite a while. It's very normal. We've seen that before. I mean, if you go back to 2021's pump, we stayed here for a very long time. And sure, we'll have moments where we dip back towards neutrality or maybe even fear, but in general, we will spend a lot of the time in greed while we're in this, parabolic portion of the bull run. And so because of that, going back towards greed is a good thing in my opinion, because it means that we're starting to see this market reset after that big push that we got. Even though, the price isn't really resetting that much, your indicators are resetting. Now, we're also seeing this from many other indicators, right? You look at your visual screener, 24 hours. What's happening? People are doing a bunch of everything. They're closing shorts and opening longs. They're closing longs and opening shorts. So we're seeing the visual screener reset back to a point of neutrality as well, in the sense that not everyone is committed to going long and not everyone is committed to going short. We're seeing people back at a 50-50. They're back on the fence. And that means that we're seeing a good cool down, a good reset in the market. You go up to your liquidation history, you can see that playing out as well. How? Well, look at it. What you can see is that recently more bulls have been getting liquidated than bears, which is stupid, by the way, but I'll go on a rant about that in a later video today. But what we can see here is that people are now getting liquidated on both sides. It's not just the bears, it's not just the bulls. What is that a sign of? It's a sign of a good reset. It means this market is relaxing a little bit. You go down to your RSI heat map. What are we seeing here? Your 4-hour pulling back to the neutral zone. Your 12-hour pulling back to the neutral zone. Your 24-hour back here, your weekly, back here. Although some of them, for example, like in your 24-hour, Bitcoin is still a little high, you are starting to notice Solana and ETH and WIF and AVAX, a lot of these ones pulling back towards that zone of neutrality. What does all of this mean, guys? What this means is that, look, we're in a very bullish phase of the market. We're getting a lot of great news. Bitcoin just pumped like absolute mad up towards 92K. And although its price isn't crashing and pulling back, it is cooling down a bit. And while it's cooling down here, all of our major fundamental indicators are also cooling down. You need to see this happen. You have to see this happen during bull markets because it's the only way that we can truly continue higher. Bitcoin's not just going to go, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120 without pullbacks, without cooldowns. No, you have to see this market relax a little bit. There has to be these moments where for 4 or 5 or 6 days, nothing much really happens. Sometimes even up to 2 or 3 weeks, nothing really happens, because then you can then use that as a foundation, build up some support there. The bulls can then enter back into the market. The bears are going to start getting liquidated, start forcing that short squeeze. You of course start seeing the supply shock continue, and then bam, this market continues upwards. And so when I see things like this from our fundamental charts resetting all the way down to our price resetting, it's a very good sign. So overall, from a technical and fundamental perspective, although I'm not 100% confident that this is the best time to be buying or anything like that, it's definitely a very clear sign that we're in a good spot in the market. And even though it's pumping and even though things are euphoric, we're still in a very good spot. And this thing over time, it's very possible for it to continue. Sure, its price might pull back a little bit. Sure, we might come back down to the 80 or high, mid $70,000 ranges. Sure, that might happen. But we're in a very good spot to be able to use that as a foundation to then continue higher and put this $94,000 all-time high behind us. And so overall, very good spot for the technicals, very good spot for the fundamentals. We're getting some great signs from those ones. Now, guys, don't forget, if you do want to trade a little bit of crypto yourself on up to 100x leverage, you can use that Margex link. It is down in the description below. Guys, you can trade something like Bitcoin on up to 100x leverage, and you don't need to KYC, meaning you don't have to hand over your personal information. Hell, you don't even need to use a VPN. You can just sign up and start trading, and they're going to give you up to $10,000. Guys, I said that right. $10,000 in bonuses and rewards if you do sign up with my link down below. I do the vast majority of my trading over here. I keep tens of thousands of dollars on this exchange for a reason. It is one of the best to do leverage trading in my opinion. So feel free to go check that out down below if you are interested. Now, moving a little bit along, okay, what is going on here with the news? Because, man, things are heating up. And if you guys hear me clearing my throat a lot, I recorded a total of 25 videos over the last 2 days on both of my channels. So I'm just kind of, my throat and my mouth are going through it. That sounds a little weird, but leave me alone. Anyway, so looking at it, let's get into the news because things are heating up. We just got a retweet of a retweet of a retweet from Cynthia Loomis saying that, of course, the S.4912 Bitcoin Act of 2024 is in the hopper, meaning it's in progress. A lot of us are hoping that we, of course, will see a Bitcoin strategic reserve here in the United States at some given point throughout 2025. And it does seem as if the act that will allow that to happen it's making progress. I mean, the Republicans have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency as of January. And so because of that, I almost can't imagine what it would take for this to not pass. And so because of that, obviously, that could be absolutely ridiculous. It's almost hard to put into perspective just how much of an impact that would have. Not only just from a price perspective, because of course that's a lot of Bitcoin being bought, but more of the fact that how does it cause the domino effect throughout all these other countries, major corporations, and things like that. Now, we're already seeing that start. If you look at it, look at this. Public listed company Thumbs Up Media Corp announces Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. Solidion Technology announces strategic Bitcoin allocation for corporate strategy. Goldman Sachs reports holding over $700 million in Bitcoin ETFs per SEC filing. I mean, it's happening, and it's happening now. People are recognizing, oh shit, the government's about to start buying it. Other countries are going to start buying it. There's going to start running out of supply. There's not going to be much available. Obviously, there's the ETFs, but they're not buying. Some of these aren't buying ETFs. They're just buying Bitcoin specifically. And as a result of that, here comes game theory. Your supply and your demand curve is shifting heavily in the direction of demand at this given point, and it's forcing people to become, to feel that FOMO. And man, we're seeing the corporations and the companies starting to buy this thing like we've been talking about. Guys, about a month ago, I made a video talking about the fact that we got that report from Bernstein, which is about $1 trillion company, that said when these companies start adding Bitcoin into their strategic reserves and countries start doing the same, we're going to see Bitcoin hit $250,000 as soon as 2025. And no less than 2 days later, we saw Microsoft release a report that, of course, they were going to be doing some considerations about investing into Bitcoin themselves. And I told you all, that's not a coincidence. All these $1 trillion companies all know each other. And so if this is happening, pay very close attention because it's very likely that we're going to start getting a lot of news around this soon. And here we are. And so although my personal price prediction for Bitcoin next year isn't in the 200,000s, it very well might hit that level just because of the sheer amount of supply that's about to get eaten up by all these countries and corporations. Now, speaking of eating up supply, Michael Saylor actually went on CNBC and said that $42 billion raise to buy Bitcoin may happen much before their original plan of 2 to 3 years. So they're clearly feeling the FOMO itself. Obviously pushing $42 billion into this market and, you know, sucking up $42 billion worth of Bitcoin is the impacts and the results of this things can be absolutely amazing. And you mix that in with what's happening in the US, you mix that what's happening in with all these other Fortune 500 companies. Guys, I don't really need to even explain to you just how damn big this is getting. Like it's going much further, much faster than I really truly thought that it would be able to, and it's absolutely insane. Now, the last piece of news that I did want to share with you is, of course, what we saw from Pennsylvania, just to put the cherry on top, that not only is it countries, not only is it corporations, but now we're starting to see possibly the very first state that is going to pass the ability to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve. It says here, Pennsylvania to allocate 10% of its $7 billion of reserves to buy Bitcoin if it passes the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act. Of course, that's $700 million. It's not going to move the needle much, but that is a very, very big step in the right direction. And again, it's only going to add fuel to the fire for what we're seeing right now. So the news has been absolutely insane. Just the sheer amount of countries and companies and friggin' states and everything that are looking to buy Bitcoin and use Bitcoin and add it is only building up the credibility. It's only opening the door for more opportunities for us here in the crypto market. And realistically, I think is only going to add more sheer liquidity to the market that will eventually funnel into altcoins to some degree, and that's when all hell's going to break loose. And so with that in mind, I just had to share all this with you today because it's been absolutely insane. Guys, I will let you know, I have been talking about a lot of this stuff a ton over on my Patreon. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but for as little as $1 a month, you can join the private community, and you can join in, talk to me, ask me questions, talk to other community members, and for $5 a month, you can get access to my thoughts, daily fundamental analysis reports, daily technical analysis reports. I'm making some crash courses right now for those of you who are a little bit newer to the world of crypto, and all of that is available down below, again, for as little as $1 a month. But overall, guys, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy this morning's catch up. I do intend on making an altcoin and meme coin video later tonight, so do stay tuned for that, and I can't wait to catch up with you all next time. Peace out, everybody.